The cursed mountain. Nobody in Bangko village climbed the mountain after sunset. Not because of wild animals, not because of the cliffs, because every year, on the same moonless night, someone heard their dead mother calling from the trees. And every year, someone answered. The next morning, villagers would find their sandals at the foot of the mountain, neatly placed, facing upward, as if the missing person had walked into the dark willingly. My grandmother once told me, if the mountain calls you by name, cover your ears and keep walking. I laughed when I was a boy. I stopped laughing the night it called mine. My name is Lin. I was 27 when I returned to Bangko, the village where I was born. It sat in a forgotten valley in northern Vietnam, surrounded by rice terraces, bamboo forests, and a mountain so large it seemed to swallow the sky. The villagers called it Nui Ko Hon, the mountain of wandering souls. During the day, it looked beautiful. Green slopes, silver waterfalls, clouds resting on its shoulders like white funeral cloth. But at night, when the fog crawled down from the peak, nobody looked at it for too long. My mother had died there when I was 6. That was what I had been told. A landslide, a storm, an accident. Her body was never found. Only her red scarf was discovered, caught on the branch of an old banyan tree near the mountain path. For years I believed that story. Then my grandmother died, and in the wooden box beneath her bed, I found a letter with my name written on it. Inside, there were only 5 words. Your mother did not fall. I came back 3 days later. The village had changed, but the mountain had not. The same narrow road cut through the rice fields. The same old temple stood beside the stream. The same bamboo groves whispered in the wind. When the bus left me at the village gate, dusk was already falling. A few old women stared from their doorways as I walked past. No one smiled. No one asked why I had returned. They already knew. In villages like Bangko, secrets did not disappear. They only waited. My grandmother's house stood at the edge of the village, near the first slope of the mountain. The roof sagged. The courtyard was full of wet leaves. A broken lantern hung beside the door, moving gently though there was no wind. Inside, everything smelled of dust, incense, and old wood. I placed my bag on the floor. Then I heard it, a soft sound from the mountain, like someone humming. I stood still. The sound faded. Outside, the bamboo leaves trembled. That night, I visited the village elder. His name was Ong Phuc. He was almost 80, with clouded eyes and hands that shook when he poured tea. His house was filled with ancestor tablets, dried herbs, and yellow paper charms pasted above every doorway. When I told him about my grandmother's letter, he did not look surprised. He only closed his eyes. Some things should stay buried, he said. My mother is not buried, I replied. The old man's hand tightened around his cup. No, he whispered. She is not. I waited. Rain began tapping on the roof, slow, patient. Ong Phuc looked toward the mountain window. There was a shrine there once, he said. Long before you were born, before your mother, before even my father. A shrine to what? He did not answer right away. Then he said, to the dead, who had no family. The room felt colder. He continued, during the war, many bodies were lost in that mountain. Soldiers, travelers, children, people buried by mud, people taken by fever, people no one came to claim. He poured more tea, but his hand was trembling harder now. The villagers built a shrine to guide them away. Every 7th lunar month, we brought offerings, rice, salt, incense, lanterns. What happened? Ong Phuc lowered his voice. One year we stopped. Why? Because people became poor. because the young no longer believed, because the old were tired. He stared into his tea. That was when the mountain began calling. I felt something move inside my chest. A memory. My mother standing at the doorway, her red scarf in the rain. Her voice saying, "Stay inside, Lin, no matter what you hear." I leaned forward. What happened to her? Ong Phuc did not answer. Instead, he said, "Leave tomorrow. I need the truth. The truth is not always for the living." I stood. He grabbed my wrist. His fingers were cold. "Tonight, do not open your door," he said. "And if you hear your mother's voice, do not answer." I pulled my hand away. "You think I came all this way to be afraid of a ghost?" Ong Phuc looked at me with deep sadness. "No," he said. "I think you came because it already knows you are here." That night, the rain became heavier. It struck the roof like fingernails. I lay on my grandmother's old wooden bed, staring at the ceiling. The house creaked. Water dripped somewhere in the kitchen. From outside came the sound of insects, frogs, and wind passing through bamboo. Then, sometime after midnight, everything stopped. No insects, no frogs, no rain. The silence was too complete. Then someone knocked on the door, 3 times, slowly. I sat up. The room was dark except for the small oil lamp near the ancestor altar. The flame bent sideways. Another knock. Then a voice, soft, wet, familiar. "Lin." My breath caught in my throat. It was my mother. Not the voice from memory. Not the voice I imagined. It was her. Older somehow. Far away. Full of rain. "Lin, open the door." I could not move. The floorboards groaned beneath my feet before I realized I was standing. The voice came again. "My son." I reached for the door latch. Then I saw something on the floor. Water. A thin stream was sliding in from beneath the door. Dark water. Mountain water. It spread across the wood and touched my bare foot. Ice cold. I stepped back. The knocking stopped. For a long moment, there was nothing. Then the voice changed. It became deeper, closer, angry. "You left me." The oil lamp went out. At dawn, I found muddy footprints outside the door. They were small, a woman's feet. They began at the edge of the mountain path. They ended at my doorstep, but none led away. I went to Ong Phuc again. He refused to open his door. From behind the wood, he whispered. "You answered?" "No." "Did you touch the water?" I remembered the cold on my foot. He began chanting a prayer under his breath. "What is happening?" I asked. "Your mother is not the only thing on that mountain." "Then tell me what took her." Silence. Then his voice came again. "Ask the temple keeper." The temple sat where the village ended and the mountain began. It was small and old, half swallowed by moss. A stone dragon guarded the entrance, its face worn smooth by rain. Inside, incense smoke curled around faded statues. The temple keeper was a woman named Ban Han. She was blind, but when I entered, she turned her head directly toward me. "You have her eyes," she said. "My mother?" She nodded. "She came here the night she died." My throat tightened. "Why?" Ban Han lifted a bundle of incense and placed it before the altar. She wanted to make an offering. To the mountain, to what lies beneath it. I looked at the altar. There was no Buddha there, no familiar deity. Only a black stone, polished smooth, shaped almost like a human heart. Banan touched it gently. This was found near the old shrine. "What is it?" "A warning." I waited. She smiled sadly. Long ago, the villagers believed the mountain was hollow. They believed the dead gathered beneath it, waiting for names to be spoken. If no offerings were made, they grew hungry. Hungry for what? For remembrance. Outside, thunder rolled. Banan continued. Your mother discovered something. She learned that the yearly disappearances were not random. What do you mean? The mountain did not choose people. She turned her blind eyes toward me. People offered them. The words entered me slowly, like cold water filling my lungs. Who? Banan did not speak, but I already knew. The elders, the village, the people who smiled in daylight and locked their doors at night. Why my mother? Because she found the names. What names? The names of those chosen. My hands curled into fists. Where? Banan pointed toward the mountain, the old shrine. That evening, I climbed. The villagers watched from their windows as I passed. No one stopped me. No one warned me. Maybe they were afraid. Maybe they were relieved. The mountain path was narrow and slick with rain. Bamboo leaned over it like black ribs. Fog moved between the trees, thick and slow. Every sound felt too close. My breathing, my shoes in the mud, the distant drip of water. Once I thought I heard footsteps behind me. When I turned, there was only fog. Higher up, I found red threads tied to branches. Old prayer papers hung from trees, rotting in the damp air. Some had names written on them. Most were faded. One was fresh. I stepped closer. The name written on it was mine, Lin Nguyen. The paper was still wet with ink. My stomach turned. Then the wind moved. All the papers began to sway, whispering, not with leaves, with voices. Lin, 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 I ran. The path twisted upward. Branches scratched my arms. Fog swallowed the trees. Then suddenly, the forest opened, and I saw the shrine. It stood in a clearing beneath an enormous banyan tree. Its roots hung down like ropes. The roof had collapsed. The altar was cracked. Hundreds of broken bowls lay scattered on the ground. Old incense sticks stood in ash. At the center was a stone basin filled with black rainwater. Beside it, nailed to the wood, was a board covered in names. Some were carved, some written in red ink, some scratched desperately, as if by fingernails. I found my mother's name, Mai Nguyen. Below it, another name had been carved recently, mine. My vision blurred. Behind me, a voice whispered, "She tried to erase you." I turned. Ong Phuc stood at the edge of the clearing. He carried a lantern. His face looked older than before, more tired. "What did you do?" I asked. He looked at the shrine. "Well, we had to." "You offered people to the mountain?" He did not deny it. "In the old days, we made offerings of rice and incense. Then the mountain wanted more. If we refused, children heard voices, crops failed, bodies appeared in the streams. That's madness. That is survival." I stepped toward him. "My mother found out." "Yes." "And you killed her?" His eyes filled with tears. "No, we chose her." The words were worse. "She went willingly? She went to save you." I could barely breathe. Ong Phuc held up the lantern. "Your name was chosen that year. You were 6. Your mother found the board. She begged us. She offered herself instead." The forest seemed to tilt. "She climbed to the shrine during the storm," he said. "She tied her red scarf to the banyan tree so you would know where she had gone. But we removed it from the path and told you it was all we found." My voice broke. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" "Because she made us promise." The black water in the basin rippled. There was no wind. Ong Phuc turned pale. "We must leave." A sound rose from beneath the shrine, a low groan, like wood bending, like stone breathing. Then my mother's voice came from the basin. "Lin." I looked down. The black water reflected the sky, but not my face. My mother's face stared up at me, pale, wet, Her hair floated around her like river grass. Her eyes were full of sorrow. "Lin," she whispered, "come home." I fell to my knees. "Mother." Ong Phuc grabbed my shoulder. "Do not answer her." But I could not look away. All my life I had remembered fragments. Her hands washing rice, her humming at night, her red scarf, her last smile. Now she was there, trapped beneath black water, waiting. "I'm sorry," I whispered. The water became still. Ong Phuc released a sound like a sob. The mountain answered. The ground shook. The banyan roots began to move, slowly, like fingers waking from sleep. Ong Phuc stumbled backward. "No," he said. "No, no." From the trees came voices, dozens of them, hundreds, old women, children, men crying for mothers, mothers crying for sons. The fog thickened until the world vanished. Only the shrine remained, only the basin, only my mother's face. Then something behind her opened its eyes. Not human eyes. Deep beneath the black water, large, ancient, hungry. Ong Phuc screamed. Roots wrapped around his legs and dragged him toward the altar. He clawed at the mud. "Help me." For one terrible moment, I did nothing. Then I moved. I grabbed his arm. His skin was cold. The roots tightened. He looked at me, eyes wide with terror. "I put your name there," he whispered. I let go. The roots pulled him into the fog. His scream rose once, then stopped. The forest became silent again. I turned back to the basin. My mother was still there, but she no longer looked like a ghost. She looked tired, human. "My son," she said. Tears ran down my face. "Can I free you?" She looked past me, toward the board of names. "Remember us." The shrine began to collapse. The banyan tree groaned. I grabbed a stone and struck the board. Once, twice, again. The wood cracked. Names split apart. The mountain roared. Wind exploded through the clearing. The fog became faces. Hands reached from the air. Cold fingers brushed my neck, my eyes, my mouth. I kept striking. The board broke free and fell into the mud. The black water in the basin rose. It spilled over the stone. It ran across the ground like ink. The voices became louder, not angry now, grieving, released. The last thing I saw before the shrine fell was my mother standing beneath the banyan tree. Her red scarf moved in the wind. She smiled. Then the mountain went dark. I woke at the foot of the path. Morning light touched the rice fields. Villagers stood around me in silence. No one asked what happened. They could see it on my face. The mountain was different. The fog had lifted. For the first time in my life, sunlight reached the old shrine path. Ong Phuc was gone. So was the board. So was the banyan tree. Only a shallow hole remained in the mountain clearing, filled with clear rainwater. 3 days later, the villagers held a ceremony. Not for one soul, for all of them. They brought rice, salt, fruit, incense, and lanterns. They read every name they could remember. They cried, some for the dead, some for themselves. I placed my mother's red scarf on the altar. For the first time since childhood, I felt something inside me loosen. That night, I slept without dreams. But peace does not always mean the dead are gone. Sometimes it only means they are no longer angry. Years have passed since I left Bangkok. I live far from the mountains now, in the city, where nights are filled with motorbikes, neon signs, and voices that belong to the living. I'm married. I have a daughter. Her name is Mai, after my mother. Last week, during the 7th lunar month, my daughter woke me before dawn. She was standing beside my bed, barefoot, holding a wet red scarf. I had never shown it to her. She looked at me with sleepy eyes and said, "Daddy, a woman outside the window told me to give this to you." My blood went cold. What woman? Mai pointed toward the dark glass. I turned. There was nothing outside, only rain sliding down the window. Then, from somewhere far away, from somewhere high above the city, I heard bamboo leaves moving in the wind, and my mother's voice whispered my name, not sadly, not angrily, but like a warning, because some mountains do not need roots in the earth. Some mountains live inside the people who remember them.